Today in algebra, we went over our last two questions on our Unit 1 test overview. Okay, we went over question 9 and 10, and we submit that Google Doc in Google Classroom, and we are done with that overview. Okay, we are also going to add some notes to our journal, some other names that we have to know for slope before our test, and then we reviewed for the rest of the period. Okay. Okay, so this problem was done by one of the students in your class. Okay, what we had to do first, split up the problem, right? If I look at the left-hand side, I notice that I have multiple x's, right? I can combine those before we start moving stuff, okay? So 3 minus 10 is a negative 7, so that's how she got negative 7x. She brought down her plus 5, the equals, the 5x plus 17. Okay, then she subtracted 5x from both sides. So minus 5x minus 5x. Notice how she lined it up with this negative 7x. Okay, because those are like terms. Okay, so let's see. We get a negative 12x plus 5 is equal to 17 because the 5x minus 5x simplified to be a 0, right? Okay, then she subtracted 5 from both sides, minus 5, minus 5. She is left with a negative 12x is equal to 12. Okay, then she divided both sides by a negative 12, which leaves x on the left-hand side, so we should be getting x equals negative 1. So the correct answer for this one is D. D is the correct answer on this. So make sure you make the correction on your document. Okay, on this last problem, okay, you are given an inequality that is already worked out, right? And then we have to analyze to see if Amanda, right, because Amanda did her work, we have to see if she did the problem correctly or if she messed up anywhere. Okay, so if we notice she distributed that negative 2 and got a negative 2x plus 2 because it's negative 2 times a negative 1, so she got plus 2. Then she brought everything down. Okay, so she's right on that step. Okay, she combined the 3x minus 2x and got 1x. But she also moved this plus 2. See, she subtracted, sorry, tongue twister, 2 from both sides, right? So she's left with a 1x on the left. Negative 10 minus 2 gave her that negative 12, so far she's good. Okay, then she subtracted this 2x from both sides, right? So 1 minus 2 gave her a negative 1x. She's left with a negative 12 on the right-hand side. So far, so good. Okay, her last step, she divided by negative 1 on both sides, which she is correct, right? So she gets x on the left and she gets a positive 12 on the right because negative 12 divided by a negative 1 gives you a positive answer, okay? However, she did forget to flip the inequality symbol, okay? So I can see why we picked F, right? That yes, she solved it correctly because all of her numbers are right. But when we get here to this step, right, and we divide or multiply by a negative number, then we have to flip the inequality symbol. Okay, she did not do that, so the correct answer choice was J. Go ahead and go make the correction on your document and then submit that form in Google Classroom. Okay, during class we were all on this Jamboard together and we were putting ideas that we remembered about domain and range. Okay, so here's just a few examples of what we came up with. Remember, you can also look in your journal on the domain and range pages, right, that we took notes on. Okay, for slope, here are some ideas that we came up with. A lot of us knew it was rise over run. right? The slope formula, it was written right here, but it looks like it got erased. But remember, we don't have to memorize that. Okay, we should have written it in our journal, and it will also be on your star chart. Okay? When we have slope from a table, right, we have to get 2 points from the table in order to use our slope formula, right? Okay, this person did a good job of writing the formula. Y's are on top, X's are on the bottom. Another person labeled what the X's and Y's should look like. Okay, we have a representation of what a table is, right? Okay, good. Okay, slope on a graph. We can use SlopeMan to tell us whether it's positive or negative, right? This little picture of the graph down here on the left, the negative is on the left-hand side. Yep. So if your line is facing to that direction, then that means you have a negative slope, right? And vice versa. If it's facing to the plus sign, then that means your slope is positive. Okay. You can also use the slope formula on slope from a graph, right? If you have your 2 points, you can use your checklist, right? Remember when we have to label the X and the Y, we've got to plug them into our formula and simplify if we need to, right? The last thing we did as a Unit 2 review was go to quizzes, right? So if you're able to in Google Classroom, you can go and click on today's date and join quizzes through there. Or you can type in on a separate window, joinmyquiz.com, and then here is the code to get you into it. Okay,